similar thing, right? You let the Milio through as the first pick, but then also the Blitzcrank can come in as a counter because you can just hook the Milio, kill the Enchanter. That's how we've typically dealt with OP Enchanters over time. But with the Milio pick now being locked in and you don't have that same kind of X-Factor Blitzcrank hook, what do you do at that point? And he's being hovered. We have seen this be such a meta pick. Ucal, one of the better players of this champion as well, though it is his first of summer.
Well, we'll see if it's going to work out. Annie, Aphelios locked in for the side of TT here. Fairly standard rotation for them. Top Esports. Could go with the Jinx. Cogmore. We know JackeyLove loves a bit of Cogmore. Gone on record saying it's his favorite AD carry because it's the only AD carry where you can still do damage when you've died. So I'm just saying, like, JackeyLove, I'd love to see it. And also, with the W and Milio's Campfire, you can actually hit turrets from out of turret range, I believe. Next.
That makes... Well, the thing is that you still have to activate the Aphelios... I'm trying to think about this, because you can actually activate the Aphelios turrets and then you kind of step back and they just die by themselves. So at least you can deal with that.
No, I meant turrets, as in towers.
Oh! I thought you meant like the Sentinel turrets. Like, that's a bit of a weird interaction, but sure, I'll roll with it. But that does make sense, though. Yes, maybe you can do that. Of course, Rapid Fire Cannon was one of the reasons... that was one of the things you could do with Caitlyn as well, one of those champions. But outside of that, we are getting ourselves to very strong meta solo laners from top esports. You have the Ahri coming in from mid lane, so what Angel could do on that pick just before this point. And then, of course, the K'Sante. I saw a clip earlier today on the very social media of Showmaker going on one of his mental breaks once again, because K'Sante is just a champion right now. We've seen what 369 can do on it. We've seen what Bin and Shanji can do on it as well. Wayward, no slash on the champion either.
Yeah, I think it was it Dudu that got a clip in LCK yesterday as well?
Yes.
I didn't actually get to see the clip. I saw so many people tweeting about it, but nobody actually tweeted the clip.
Apparently we're now meant to refer to him as Dusante. That's the new name for that player.
Well, congratulations, Dusante, on your new title. Jinx is going to be banned away here alongside the Dar as reasonably standard draft so far, but there's time, there's space for this to get a bit funky in the second rotation, especially without the AD carry being locked in for top esports. You could ban the Lucian here as well. Oh wait, Lucian's already banned anyway. The Xayah taken off the board. I'm just saying, we're opening up for a Cogmore angle here.
Oh, that would... But playing Cogmore into Nautilus is just not it. I'm just throwing it out there. I think that's how you go the 0 and 9 JackeyLove dream. That's where you kind of sit there and go, well, wish I'd played another champion. Get good use out of the passive, but that's it.
I will say, one thing I'm really excited for is, I was about to talk about Ashe, which is now being hovered. There's no way they lock this in. They've got Nautilus and Aphelios, but Ashe it's not on this patch, but once Triforce gets buffed on 13-11, Ashe is really good, actually. Like, you do way more damage early than...
I know it's not in this draft. Another thing you can do as well is you can also go Phantom Dancer first on Ashe right now because the stats just work out so well with Ashe's passive. So if you see that end up turning up in other games across the world, absolutely remember that one. There are some weird builds on that. On the other side, though, we're still very standard, very much run-of-the-mill. It's the Wukong coming in for Beichuan. Does mean that you now have multiple... Please,
oh my God,
are you really doing this?
He's going to do it.
Into this much engage, it would be absolute lights out. I would personally not condone that one. The Maokai does buy you a bit of space. If you have good enough frontline play with a K'Sante and a Maokai, you can still play a hyper carry, but you have to have something that can get out of a Cyclone, get out of a Nautilus kind of immediate engage range as well.
Vayne, but actually has range because of Milio? That could be pretty good. I mean, Draven would be the classic.
Look, I'm down to try it. I'm down to see it tried. Given the fact that it's JackeyLove, sometimes it's not the champion, it's the player who decides he's going to absolutely pop off or die trying. It is going to be Zeri instead, so I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
All of that, we get Zeri. God, get me out of here, man. Hysterics or someone. Come and cast this instead. I can't believe that we talked about Cogmore, they hover the Cogmore, and then they hover the Vayne, they hover the Draven. It's bloody Zeri.
No, it is just Zeri. Just in case you hadn't seen it up this champion, the Yumi's gone, the Lulu's gone, it's the Milio instead. It's still helping Zeri kite and be much in the same way that we're talking about the Aphelios from Game 2 of last series in terms of standing your ground and using the extended range and the cleanse and the like to just kite back and turn around a fight sometime later into it. Now, I haven't seen a huge amount of the Zeri-Milio lane pairing. I think there are definitely some ways where a Nautilus hook lands onto the Milio and they get burst out before the Zeri can really return fire. That's what I'm interested in from TT, particularly because we have just been talking about 1xN being a very proficient Aphelios player, being being the absolute best player on his LDL team, has to try and transfer that now into the LPL against these legendary players like JackeyLove and Mark.
Yeah, and one part of that function that I want to mention as well is his coach, right, which is No Name. And for anyone that's wondering, that is No Name from the 2014 LMQ over in the LCS.
That's where it was from.
Many years ago.
It was on the tip of my tongue, man.
Yeah. That is the coach for TT. So certainly a veteran player to help him try and reach those dizzying heights. I do feel like TT, a team with a lot of individual pop-off potential. 1xN, like you say, hyped up from the LDL. Yao getting his chance over yuyanjia once more. He was playing for TT during playoffs when they lost to RNG. But also Ucal. I feel like Ucal is one of these players that, over the last couple of years, he went from, at least in my estimations, one of the worst mid laners in the LPL, I don't know how else to say it, to solo killing it, to dominating the mid lane. This Tristana pick came out for him that was like this huge turnaround moment, and suddenly he became a player that was lane dominant and could fight for games and win games for his team. And I feel like he's kept that moniker, he's kept that style ever since. And now he's become a player that I'm always excited to see, especially against the likes of Rookie.
Ucal is a player with so much history in himself, so of course, completely overshadowed by Rookie, playing all the way back in Season 4, and he's been at the top of the tree pretty much his entire career. Ucal has such a weird career trajectory because, yeah, he's had that dip. His first season, Season 8, I think that was when he was on KT, if I remember right. I'm trying to remember which team he was on at that point, but he was one of the very best Taliers in the world. He was viewed as one of the best mid laners in the world. It has taken a very long time for us to start considering him as one of the top laners, even in just his region from that point at this time. But then you go back to this spring, and Ucal, I mean, you have to refer to him as that. He was incredibly powerful on a number of different picks, and he was the carry for his team. It wasn't really like there were other people he was competing with, 4 players of the game. It was pretty much always Ucal when they were winning.
Now, I don't want to get too boring here. Oh, JackeyLove spotted the level 1. Won't work out. I do feel like we should talk comps, even though it is the same comps that we see every single game. Let's talk about win conditions here a little bit, as we do have the Zeri alongside the Milio. I feel like it's a terrifying combination when you stack up the lethal tempo, then get the cozy campfire range on top of the burn on your auto attacks. Like, Zeri will be terrifying later on. But what do top esports do to set that win condition up?
I think a lot of it is through very proficient frontline play. I think that you don't get them to do damage as JackeyLove if Wayward and Tian are caught out before you're ready to fight, before you're in position to fight. And that's going to have an added level of difficulty when you have something like a depth charge forcing JackeyLove to retreat, when you have a cask forcing them out of the fight. I think what TT can do is look to hit the first target if they can't find a flank angle. Of course, they have some options for that too. They can look to split up the fight, force the Zeri out of the play, and kill the front line first, and allow 1xN on this Aphelios to just drill down the first front target.
We'll see if they can. The one thing he'll have to worry about is Wayward does have K'Sante, and even Aphelios struggles when K'Sante is diving. Rookie has to flash here. The stun does come on through, but Beichuan not going to commit underneath the tower. Flash for flash in the mid lane here. This Beichuan just trying to get some pressure out. Walks over a ward, though, as he tries to spot out Tian. Realizes the chickens are gone. Tian on the red buff right now, has the smite available. I don't think he was spotted by this Crisis Bloom. That didn't go over the red buff.
I mean,
they'll know where he is, but
yeah, I think like they'll know he's there by process of elimination. But I think if you angle that a little differently, you can just about see both. Either way, Beichuan now going to be spotted on his own camps as well. Hook lands.
It's not that great though, because that's not a trade that they're winning right now. Is
Nope.
Yao takes a third of his health at 1xN, takes a hit as well. JackeyLove still just vibing in that bottom side. Tian moving over, but good little ward there from 1xN. There's if you do it. If you stand on the wall where there's a little nook you can stand in, you click your ward on the rock that sticks out of the waterfall, that'll ward that brush for you.
So,
for everyone
you know You know what's even better now? They've added an indicator to see where the ward will actually land if you just press the key instead. If you're doing it by hotkey and just smart casting it, sure, that's the way to do it. But you can tell where the ward is directly going to land now, so you don't have to do the Scara thing of like warding
really?
either side of the tri-brush. Yeah, they've added that in. It's one of the best quality of life changes I've noticed in League recently.
I did not know that was a thing. And also, I just quick cast it anyway, so...
Yeah.
Well, I'm missing out. I'm missing out is the long and short of it. We do have Tian trying to make a play on the bottom side, or at least trying to answer a play potentially. The laser comes out, 1xN dodges it, but JackeyLove just will not back away. He just refuses to relent.
The heal blown from Mark in that short exchange as well, so that's a summoner down, I suppose. TT still going to get pushed in towards this bot side. Beichuan doing okay to get that flash out of mid lane. Trading flash to flash is a little awkward because Annie without flash doesn't feel the best about things, but it's not like there's a roaming support that can make the most of it. And we talked about Maokai earlier in the day not being best at getting into lanes. Beichuan on a bit of a gander again towards this top side. Can you do anything in this lane?
Yeah, we saw Tian in the bottom side. Now Beichuan in the top side. Wayward still has that flash, holding on to the summoner spell. Nerves of steel from Wayward there, but will walk out with his life.
Gets away with it. Doesn't even have to pull the emote this time. Just walks out completely chill in that one. Sitting in a turret as well. Has 2 biscuits in inventory if he does feel under threat. Hoya, though, no mana, no real threat under this tower. Wayward can be able to delay his back a little longer, take another wave, so when he teleports back into lane, we'll have a bit more gold to spend for the next phase of lane.
Yeah, Tian, oh, that's a big sapling. And he gets, what was that, 70 gold?
That's like a control ward's worth. Wow, crazy.
That was a big old sapling, big old sapling. We'll just steal away some Krugs. Not actually that exciting, but hey, it looked cool.
It did, and it's not that exciting. And considering that top esports are a team that we've... Oh, Tip is going to get dropped. I'm not sure. I mean, there's no first drag in this trade, but it's going to force Rookie back.
My days, Rookie almost going down to Tibbers there. The Airy comes out as well. And look, we came in saying, look, Ucal's been dominant in the laning phase, hits level 6 first, and fully punishes Rookie off the back of it. Rookie was forced to flash earlier, and now being forced out of lane as well. He's going to stick around with that corrupting potion just to clear this wave away, but Ucal certainly finding advantages. Rookie's about to hit 6. Ucal with no Tibbers. Tian moving in, but looks like he's just going to last hit the Tibbers with Spike.
That's 50 gold in itself.
Just wanted the 50 Gs. Look, Tian is playing this, you know, you remember Bank Plank where you just build the gold items on Gangplank? Yeah, this is Tian playing the Maokai equivalent, where he just saplings all the little Krugs and gets the gold from that, goes and spikes Tibbers.
By the way,
just getting value here.
That was only second to Ash, like old Ash, original Ash, maxing Hawkshot, because it used to give you basically, it's like, you know how Cull gives you 1 gold per minion? It used to give you like an extra gold per rank of your E. So you do that, and then you build Avarice Blade, which would also do the same thing, and you become Cash instead. Yeah. And that was great. I love that.
There was there's the Twisted Fate build as well, because obviously you get the bonus gold per CS, and you would just go like Billowstone first and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Stack the cash.
Oh, that's an okay. So this thing here, we just noticed it. When you another quality of life thing which came into League as well. Sweepers will now show up wards in a different color to champions. So there's like light blue instead of like being red for champions. That one I like as well, because there are a couple of wards which look like exactly like Teemo or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. The ward skins kind of ruin Sweepers, and I feel like this is a... I feel like the Reddit solution was just give it the normal ward outline each time, but obviously that's probably not going to work, because it probably actually scans the item that is there, and the skin's probably changed.
I've learned not to question how League is constructed. I actually briefly did some game dev myself, and there is something called object-oriented design where you try and use things that you know work because you use them so much. That's why everything's coded as minions. When you try and do even seemingly like simple things like, oh, can we just use a regular ward? You have no idea how that could randomly break a game.
Again, Ucal just slams the Tibbers down, which I will mention, coded as a minion, because it is a giant minion.
Yes, exactly. You know Jarvan's ult, Cataclysm, used to be just a ring of minions?
Yeah, it's like 8 minions, right? They actually redid that. It's no longer minions, apparently.
Well, because that, and there was another one as well. Vel'Koz W, the little line across the ground, it was the funniest thing, because Thresh could accidentally hook Vel'Koz W. And there was some weird exceptions which happened while this happened, where if you got knocked up by Vel'Koz E while you were mid-hook, you would do that thing where you'd fly off into the horizon and become like an astronaut for a brief amount of time.
Man, League of Legends has had some weird stuff happen. But I
Yes.
feel like a lot of it is based off the fact that, like, when the game was first made, it was made by some dudes in a basement, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like without, like, remaking the game from scratch, there's a lot of those artifacts that can't ever be removed. And
Well,
there's
it was
a
made
huge
on-
risk involved in rebuilding a game.
It's like most systems work on like DX10, DX11 now. I think League was done on DX9, which is also why it can work on pretty much any computer out there. I can't remember if that's still the case, but it does mean that League is very accessible. It just means that it's been gone so long. One extent is going to get out live here. It's been going on for such a long time that League. It has such a weight of architecture behind it. Very few things are built on pieces after pieces, like after 10 years in the gaming industry. You'll see that occasionally, like some legacy websites and stuff like that or whatever, but even then, they're not the size of this either.
No, certainly not. And there's like, I think one of the things people always kind of underestimate is the amount of risk involved in any significant change to the
Yes.
It's like, it's such a huge product that is a global product
You know
as
what?
well, that it's like, the second you change things, and like, let's say they rebuilt League in the Unreal Engine, for example, you're not going to make it the same as it is. Like,
No.
it is inevitably going to be a different game. Interactions are going to work differently, etc.,
Might
etc.
have an angle mid here. Ult is not available for Ucal just yet.
Oh, good flash from Rookie. Great reactions on that one. Because I'm not even sure he knew. Although Mark was moving as well, so I guess he knew that, that could be a possibility. Flash down for Rookie, but does have the Spirit Rush.
But now you don't have flash on Rookie when Ucal has ult. So there's a chance that maybe you can 100 to 0. You don't have Merc Treads just yet. We do see some Aries into the Annie go just straight up Merc Treads first and say, look, I'm not dying to the first couple of ults of the game. It's not going to be the case here. You don't have any MR just yet. Ucal with the Aerie as well. Able to kind of chip down a little bit more over time with continuous procs of that. First strike, of course, very, very bursty on the Annie, but the Aerie, as we can see, has allowed Ucal to take some good trades and to get a CS advantage.
Certainly has. Good stuff so far coming out from Ucal. Very, very quiet start to this one, but TT...
We can talk more about game dev if you'd like.
Well, what I was going to say was TT, they found themselves a trade. They found themselves an advantage to start this one off, so good stuff from them. And considering they're against a team that, you know, famous for when they do get a lead, running away with things, Wayward getting a trade, but Hoya answers back. Go for the phase rush in that top side. Hoya will be going for that AP Gragas here. Trying to be a damage threat for his team. With a Nautilus and a Wukong, I can totally understand that.
The next big thing we need to keep an eye out for is, yes, we have a dragon spawning in the next 2 minutes and 20 seconds, but that Herald and inventory of Tian is the chance for top esports to make a power play somewhere. I think it can be a little dangerous to maybe shove it in towards bot lane, particularly because of the vision control which has been established by TT towards the bot side of the map. We talked about Ucal having flash, having that ultimate. Rookie, yes, has the Spirit Rush, but doesn't have the flash, so slightly less playmaking opportunity right now. I think TT, they're pretty happy to just keep this vision up, look to see where Tian goes across the map, and counter wherever that Herald potentially could go.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to be able to answer. Remember, the Herald doesn't last super long anymore, and there we go. Herald will come down in the bottom side. Beichuan in the area. JackeyLove would love to get some of the gold for this one, and you fully expect him to step up close enough. It is JackeyLove after all. He's willing to risk that. But Yao wasn't in the area. You can see Ucal starting to hover towards that bottom side as well.
He just hadn't run quickly enough. He didn't have the exact timing on it. Wave had only just been cleared out, so Ucal maybe could have given up a wave to counter that, but I don't think you're going to commit that hard when you don't have teleports right now. Of course, again, reminder, because I keep forgetting it, you can teleport beyond 10 minutes now, so if any of them are up and available, particularly with Wayward having his there, potentially you don't want to buy into a bigger play at that point.
Worth mentioning as well that the fact that Ucal can't roam quick enough is down to the changes that happen to minion waves for this patch, right? Where the mid lane wave crashes at the same time as the bot lane wave now. So Ucal can't just clear the wave and walk down for when the waves arrive in the bottom side anymore. They've changed the way that that functions. So
I'd say it feels like we had another preseason, like just right
honestly.
in the middle of the split. It's so many fundamental things changed about the game midway through the year that, again, I keep talking about the muscle memory being very important, but for players which play, hundreds, thousands of hours a year of League per year, that stuff is quite hard to adapt to in its entirety very quickly.
There's a lot of like passive knowledge that you don't. It's stuff like, checking the minimap, right?
Yes.
If you change your minimap from lower right corner to lower left corner or vice versa, it will ruin your life. You will never check the minimap again because you'll be looking at the wrong corner. It's not something that you think about, it's something that happens automatically. And stuff like minion wave timings falls in the same category of just automatic processes that can be hard to rewire. TP coming out, well, Drake has spawned onto the map.
Yeah, Dragon's just spawned. You don't have flash yet on Rookie. You still have every ultimate available. And Beichuan looking for something bot lane potentially, but a good knockback from Mark will stop him from really finding purchase.
Yeah, should be able to just clear that wave. Tian just finds space in the river in the meantime, so TT can't start the Drake off. Tian will be the one to start it. Is JackeyLove and Mark now rejoin the gang? I don't know if they can go through the river that way.
Yeah, I think
TP
Hoya,
gonna come out.
Yeah, Hoya was looking to see if Wayward was going back to lane. Instead, sees him now down towards that boss of the map. 5v5, here we go.
Charm lands onto Yao. Wayward's here too. The Everfrost won't land though. Drake is just going to be 50-50'd and Tien wins those as the all-out actually pulls Beichuan right in the middle of everyone. Wayward flashing but won't find him. Beichuan over the wall. 200 HP but will survive. TES get the Drake. Can they walk away with it as well? Mark with a good bit of peel onto Yao. And Hoya won't be able to find anyone.
And these teams are really struggling to get these engages to really stick. No one's going for the backline access. That was all about the Dragon. It's not like it's too stacked up for one team, though. It's split one apiece. We have ourselves an Ocean Rift, which I suppose with a couple of the tankier members, like a Gragas with his regen and the ability to survive a little longer through fights, even with the AP builds, and of course the tanks over the side on top esports, Ocean Rift can be very impactful if you do get towards that soul. But this is slowing down yet again. For a series we thought would be decided maybe by top esports early game, this has been glacial, we'll call it.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been, well, so the thing is, I do think that there's like a misrepresentation of top esports historically where people see the crazy plays that do come out from them sometimes and think, yeah, top esports, super fast, super aggressive team. But a lot of the time historically, actually, they have played pretty slow in the early game because their laning advantages aren't just from kills, they're from actual like lane diff. So a lot of the time they do play very slow laning phases. Unfortunately, they're not really getting any big lane diffs this game, so they haven't got a lead to talk about.
Maokai is just about to come up, but it's not up in time for the Herald. TT gonna get that, get out. They pull the ult now.
Oh, Flash, Spirit Rush, Charm, Everfrost, everything onto Ucal. He's still alive for now, but taken down by the solo laners as Rookie goes back in and Wayward charges forward. A double kill on the Cassante, but Rookie has gone too deep. And 1XM just cuts him down with the shurikens. Wayward will fall too surely. 1 HP as JackeyLove arrives on the scene trying to clean things up. But 1XM on a double kill already. Tian is in here. Hoya jumps on forward and brings the barrel down on JackeyLove. Wants a little bit more. Beichuan goes back in. 1XM with a third of the fight. And Mark finds himself alone in the world. Beichuan wants to finish the job, but kicked away.
And the hyped AD carry from the LDL shows up on his iconic champion. That Aphelios did so much damage at that point in the game. We were just complaining about how slow the game was going, but around the second Herald, TT, they find the right timing. The ults weren't quite available from top esports to engage onto TT while the Herald was going down. It's only after it's been taken that they go towards it. Rookie does pull Ucal out of position, which is important. It stops TT being able to defend the choke point on their own with a Tibbers, with a load of their Sentinel turrets coming down as well. 1XM, though, uses the Chakram ultimate and is untouched because he's not the one caught in the choke. Feels like top esports. They overforce as soon as they can't quite get into that choke point.
I mean, on the first watch of this fight, I was looking at Rookie, I was like, Rookie, man, you really overstepped there. I didn't realize he was basically full health when he went over the wall. That was like 3 or 4 auto attacks that just shredded him. And because it was melee range, they were like instant auto attacks. So 1XM just annihilated him.
And particularly, well, Wayward, that's going to be a clone, okay, so he's fine there. But I think one of the things which people have a misconception about Aphelios as a champion is that his close range damage combo is always the Severin Crescendum, red-white, because it looks really cool when you stack up all of the Chakrams so much. If you are melee range of an Aphelios who's got green-white with the rifle turrets, he basically gets an auto-attack reset every time the turret attacks. It is an insane amount of damage, and 1XN, of course, very much familiar with this champion, does an incredible job there, and gets himself up to a 350 gold bounty beyond that point too, as Hoya very happy to save himself on that top side of the map, let that tower go down. That second Herald is used to break open this mid lane outer turret. Now, TT being able to take that first tower very early does mean that they're going to have themselves extra ability to shove in that mid wave and then go toward these objectives which are going to be spawning in the next few minutes.
All right, so I feel like we need to sort of take stock of what is going on in this game currently, because TT have managed to find themselves a small gold lead. Small being the operative word there. It is just a few hundred at this point, but a lead nonetheless. And crucially, that's overall gold, but a lot of top esports gold is in the pocket of Wayward, whereas 1xN, 3 kills so far. You can see his stats being brought up. I don't know what the Chinese next to the numbers means, but those are some big numbers, and that's exciting.
Yes.
Gale Force and Storm Racer already picked up at this point, and it does feel like 1xN, the player to watch, hyped up player, coming out from JDG's LDL team, and hasn't necessarily managed to pop off in the LPL just yet. Has been Hwanfeng playing mostly. And now, 3-0-1 against top esports. This is certainly the game to make a name for yourself.
Yeah, 1xN has the 2-item mark before anyone else on the Rift. Very, very strong. Doesn't have Flash, but as you mentioned, that Gale Force has come in. Very bursty at these AD carry items now. It's not the same Gale Force and the Storm Razor we've had earlier in the year. Both of them adding on an unexpected amount of burst damage. And then we have this Phalanx set up again. We have the Sentinel turrets, the Rifle turrets, ready once again to start firing top esports. They've learned the hard way what they've done before.
Charm goes wide, though. It's going to be just a 50-50, and Tian wins those. Wayward doesn't win those, though. Goes in and just gets wrecked as the disengage comes out from Mark. Rookie with a charm as well onto 1xN. Doesn't have the Spirit Rush if he has to, and Yuyanjia flashes to force the Spirit Rush out from Rookie. TT are looking towards the Baron here. I don't know if that's something they can really look for.
They have, again, those turrets, really high DPS on the neutral objective, and they did get a kill onto someone with no teleport to come back. With the Spirit Rush down, I think TT are looking at the available combat options, looking at the lack of ultimates, and I think they can try this.
I will say, there's been two 50-50s this game, and Tian's won them both. He has Smite available in a few seconds, but actually currently on cooldown. 4K on the Baron. Tian goes in as the damage coming out from JackeyLove here, but the health bar is still decent for TT. It does feel like they're being corralled, though. Everfrost there from Rookie on the top side. Tian almost in the pit, goes in for this one as JackeyLove gets 2 for himself. Baron taken by TT, but they're stuck in the back of the pit. The lightning chaining across the team, but JackeyLove's down. Beichuan gets him. 1xN still alive as the recall in the back of the pit actually goes on through for Ucal. They walk away with 3 Barons.
It's post 20 minutes in the LPL, baby. TT take a single kill, and they say, okay, we can take this. We can look at this. And despite the fact that top East will still have the Milio and the Zeri alive, TT match up to that with their own Aphelios, and they say, look, this is enough damage. We have the setup. We can make this work. So looking back to this point already talked about how the Xanthe's not going to be here. You don't have that disruptive frontline threat to kind of separate out the team fights. And that means that JackeyLove has a harder time buying space. And while he does get a decent amount of damage down, it's not like 1xN has been hit himself at this point. And he's the one with the more gold, he's the one with the more items. It gets scrappy, it gets pinned into the pit. But because of the difference in itemization between these 80 carries at this point, you can just see the amount of damage that 1xN can put out over his counterpart.
Yeah, JackeyLove not able to finish those health bars. It was close, and you could see the angle for top esports, couldn't you? But didn't quite work out in the end. And I will say, this Smite was literally double digits away from big Tians there. But Beichuan gets it in the end, and that's what counts. It's who finds their mark. 3,000 gold lead now for TT. We said this could be the moment for TT to prove themselves. This could be the game where they do show up, and so far looking fantastic for them. 1xN taking over this one. Now with Baron trying to push for the tier 2 in the top side of the map. Oh, it's a great charm from Rookie, but that one minion will keep him alive. Roots come out from Tian. That's Yuyanjia caught up here. Bit of damage, but nothing too much.
And this was, we talked about TT looking for a chance to prove themselves. I think particularly 1xN looking for a chance to prove himself and kind of take some of the burden off of Ucal's shoulders to be the primary carry. Top Esports on the other side, we've said that they've had some mid-game worries. They've struggled this point in the game. Once again, TT have shown this flaw up in Top Esports and managed to push them.
What are you doing, Mark? Rookie just charmed the cannon underneath the tower, and Mark kicked it back out of range. I don't know. I don't know what is going on. Here we go. Wayward trying to start a fight. It's not going to happen. They will be able to defend this tower. This is one of the issues you can have with Baron if you get it at 20 minutes and you're not so far ahead that you could just force dives and things. Is quite often it can be quite hard to just siege endlessly. And it feels like TT not going to get that much off the Baron. But they have got a gold lead off of it, and I think that's the most important thing, right? That they are now comfortably in the lead for the follow-up fights. We've got Drake coming up in a minute. Top Esports have got the 2 most recent ones. It does feel important for TT to be able to contest that next one.
Yeah, I think also importantly, a lot of vision control brought by TT from that Baron as well. It's on the top side of the map. That allowed him to push in towards that top side in a turret. They didn't take it, of course, but I think that vision control has been expertly placed from TT across the entirety of this first game. Now we're coming up towards the next Dragon spawn. Very important that TT would take that one away and not allow a soul point to be achieved from behind. Top Esports, they've got themselves a couple of those smite wins, and that's seen them to 2 Dragons so far. But TT, they get themselves the reset after that Baron. They get themselves more of that vision across the bot side of the map. And let's see what they can do with that around this Dragon.
See if they can pull it off. TT, though, trying to get sneaky with it. Moving into the jungle. Turret placed down, which will spot out anyone that comes in. Wayward, the one to base check. Very happy to do so, as the wards, turrets will be cleared out. Top Esports make their way in, but Hoya does spot their control ward at the back of that Dragon pit. I think TES were hoping that would go unnoticed, but alas, won't be the case for now. So 1xN really wants to clear this wave. Top just say, look, you can have the Drake. We're going to take towers in the mid lane. If you don't come respond, we're going to take 2.
And the difference between this play and the play which was lost around Baron for Top Esports was the play around Baron and the Dragon beforehand was about 2 items on the AD carries to about 1.5 on the opposing team. That is much more of a power spike than as it is currently. Everyone on Top Esports basically has their 2 items, and TT have 2.5. You really need that completion. So TT maybe just looking at the inventories and saying, look, we're ahead in gold, but it's not meaningful on the items right now. Let's not overforce. They do get themselves that Dragon, but they're not willing to try and compete against Top Esports across the entire map.
No, it's a tough one. And especially with Zeri now, 2.5 items, like, you are getting to the point. Actually, JackeyLove's going the lawnmower build as well. He's going Titanic Hydra. So this Zeri is very close to getting to the point where, especially with Emilio alongside it, spreading that fire across the entire enemy team, it's tough to just go for a 5v5. I mean, look at how he shreds that minion wave. That's only getting worse.
It makes your grass afraid to grow. The lawnmower is here.
Yeah, and look, it's summertime, and TT enjoying the sun for now, but the grass
is going to be a
danger.
deep cut.
I hope they don't have hay fever. That's all I'm saying.
I do, and it's awful right now. Did you ever watch the Romeo and Juliet movie? I know this is a little bit out there.
I value my time.
Okay, well, I did too, and I have to say, one minute of that movie made it very worthwhile. Because there was an advert for a lawnmower, which was like the lawnmower amongst all lawnmowers, known as the Terraforminator. I'd like to introduce this to League of Legends in this Zeri build, because you're not exactly going to have that much plant growth after this one. This lawnmower very nearly delivered upon this game.
Okay, I like it. The Terraforminator, once that Titanic Hydra is finished. So for now, he's just the lawnmower. But once that's gone, once he's got it, the Terraforminator's online. And the grass, nor TT will grow. He is still, I will just clarify, we've been talking about JackeyLove for a long time. It is still TT in the lead right now. They do still have the gold lead. They do still have a perfectly good composition for winning out a game. And 1xN with the Aphelios, once again, coming out from the LDL. Hey, look, if there's a player you could prove yourself against, if there's an AD carry that you've got to beat if you want to make a mark on the LPL, it's JackeyLove. So far, so good for 1xN. 4-0 and 3. 3 items, stopwatch available for the next fight as well.
Yeah, it's a real point of power from 1xN. You have to feel, once you hit that 3rd item from the Zeri, Top Esports feel a lot happier about things, because they're not out of sight in the goal. It's still a marginal gold lead, especially at 27, 28 minutes. It's not going to be game-ending, but while you have this item completion, which is just gone, that would have been a good timing for TT. They don't hit that. 3 items now in for that Zeri. That stopwatch, it's 1 moment of power, but I think TT, they're really banking on this next fight going well before the front to back with heavy front line and a strong Zeri in the back line can really start popping off.
And I know that people are bored of the just look at the AD carry meta from MSI. I know people got a bit tired of that, but this is one of those games where it really is look at the AD carry. Like, if 1xN pops off, it's a 1-5 for TT. If JackeyLove pops off, it's a 1-5 for Top Esports. Everyone else, they're on protect or kill the AD carry duty. It's all about the ADs this game.
Interestingly as well, we've got The Rylai's coming in from Ucal, second item. It's not going to be the heavy carry coming in from that mid lane, which we know from him. We've through to the rifle turret weapon combination again from Ucal. From 1xN, it's going to be the Maokai ult to disengage from the Baron start.
Yeah, nothing too much going to come from that one. Rookie trying to find a charm as well, but it's just this endless ARAM for the time being, as neither team wants to misstep. They know that we are at the point in the game where, realistically, with a strong enough ace, with a fast enough ace, it's possible to just kind of end the game. Maybe not instantly, but you'd get the Baron, you'd get some tier 2s, maybe inhibs. Tian forced to flash away. The CC chain almost there from TT. A pick on Tian, that would have broken the game open.
Absolutely would do. Again, any time past those 20-minute mark, especially in the LPL, these teams are so vicious, so lethal. One kill can lead to literally the entire game tipping on its head. It's a Baron and then into a reset, which will then start to end the game. TT, though, we talked about them having that slight gold lead. They've really not been able to leverage it, particularly because of Tian's Maokai being there as a very strong disengaged threat. TT have really struggled to leverage the advantages that they have. What this means now is that top esports have been able to control this midway for a bit with the Terraforminator build online and then start to choke out this vision control. Now they're looking for the engage.
Wayward with an engage here. The roots come across as well, but charm now onto Hoya. There really just is no significant follow-up there. It feels so hard to actually start a fight for either of these teams, unless we basically get a Flash Tibbers with the Wukong following up as well. TES have lost control of the Baron, though. It's TT on the scene there as JackeyLove clears away this mid-wave.
Okay, let's see what happens with this Infernum. 1xN doesn't have himself the chakrams for huge continued DPS, but the burst damage is huge. Here we go!
Oh, Hoya, the cask isn't that great, but in the meantime, Wayward just kind of goes 1v5. The top laners both just throw themselves in and sacrifice their lives. So now we have a 4v4.
Yeah, carry on our Wayward son. Does not get nearly enough out of that one. Ultimate not pulled, flash not pulled. 1xN still has ult, still has Infernum.
Tian on the front line. Tibbers goes down here. Depth charge across the team as Rookie has to flash.
Oh!
1xN flashing onto Rookie to find himself a solo kill onto one of the greatest players in LPL history. JackeyLove wants to answer in kind as 1xN on the front line. Does he have the damage? JackeyLove laser across the team, stacking up the electricity. 1xN to go down, but he flashes away. He's the one to get the kill. Turn it into 2, and TT find another fight.
Add this name to your LPL AD carry list. 1xN is making moves in this region. 8-0-4 on his signature Aphelios pick. TT, have they just found themselves another star talent?
I think they might have. Let's take another look at how on earth this started.
So Tian managed to buffer out of the CC, avoid the body slam with the with that advance coming in from that Maokai. But after this point, you know, you've traded frontliners, and the Zeri really needs to be standing behind someone if at all possible, particularly because the Aphelios has so many items at this point. The Zeri is not the same crit burst build which we had before. It's got a lot of sustained pressure, but you got a lot of bursts on this Aphelios. And while that ultimate goes wide, I think that was probably just to see if that last auto attack didn't crit and kill that that Ari. Potentially it was just kind of some insurance after that point. This is where it gets absolutely hell for leather, though. The onslaught from the Severum, of course, triggers your other weapon. Really slick at switching between the weapons. Gets a 3-weapon switch beyond this as well. Runs out of ammo for 1 and changes over to the turrets, which then add extra DPS in. 1xN, giving us a real masterclass on even in late game scenarios, keeping your cool and making sure you know which weapons are coming next.
You know that you're a good Aphelios player when you make even Zeri look not strong enough. That was something special. What?
Oh my god!
10,000 damage in a single team by 1xN!
What do they feed these LDL AD carries?
Unbelievable. And not only that, the confidence to Gale Force and flash forwards, find a 1v1 with Rookie to start the fight off as well.
He solo killed one of the greatest mid laners of all time as an AD carry, and then wants to absolutely blitz that team fight. I love this player. I really hope that he can continue on this run of form, because if this is kind of signs of what's to come from this AD carry, TT are in with a real shot of greatness in this summer.
I mean, I got a little bit speechless off of 10,000 in one fight. He's almost full build now off the back of that fight as well. Half an item away from 6 here on the Aphelios. He's got red plus Infernum. That is a real solid combination for a fight, especially if everyone's grouped up. The Inferno will absolutely annihilate people at this point. To the point where it's maybe even worth just popping it out when four people are stood there, even if the fight's not kicking off. Just, you're going to put them all to at least half health.
Yeah, it's, again, the conversation we had with what happens when Jace gets super fed. It goes from being poke into being an assassin. Yeah, fellas can do that too. Charm lands, but you have to be so careful, even looking for the follow-up skills to kind of cast on top of that charm, because if Aphelios is in range, you just forfeit your life.
Certainly do. Hoya trying to pressure in the mid lane simultaneously as Wayward will clear that wave, but this should be the wave where the tower goes down. Tian looking for an engage here, but it's not really going to be enough follow-up. The wave is cleared though. Tian using that ultimate just defensively to protect the objectives, but they're moving forwards. The tower will go down. The TT find themselves another one. This is their second Baron though, and Top Esports just will not die. They will not allow TT to siege here. With 2 Barons, they still haven't broken an inhib. They haven't even taken all 3 tier 2s.
I think that goes to show how powerful Zeri is, even though we haven't seen the same pop-off AD carry performance as we've seen from the Aphelios. This Zeri Milio is still really terrifying with this build. You're about to get towards, I think there'll probably be something like a, might even be a Kraken Slayer. In fact, it's just built there. So the on-hit damage is really starting to come through from JackeyLove. You can't lose your cool. You can't over-engage and go into this area, because if they manage to slip the net and get out of the initial engage, it's going to get rough for you. TT, I think they're doing the right thing and paying respect to the damage which Top Esports still have.
Bit of true damage in the build now, and that's certainly going to do a lot for JackeyLove, who definitely is hitting hard. Not quite as hard as 1xN, who is now on 6 items. He is full build. He is beyond terrifying at this point. I mean, he's the same level as the solo laners. That's kind of crazy. Although I guess JackeyLove is at this point as well, but they're all a level higher on the side of TT. Top Esports just biding time. Drake not up for another minute and a half, but it feels like we're kind of got into a bit of a stalemate where, like we said before, it's kind of hard to start fights in this one. You don't want to overstep. And for TT, inevitably feeling the pressure right now where you've got a big, big lead against Top Esports, against one of the teams that, like, I don't think any conversation can happen without them being in the conversation for top teams, assuming they're playing at the level that you would hope they do. But TT now, with that lead, the pressure is on. They want to finish this game off, and they don't want to make that crucial mistake. They don't want to overstep on an engage and throw all of that away.
Now, getting in towards Dragon spawning. Tien's caught out, but so is Hoya.
Hoya's caught out here. Maybe that's the overstep we talked about, but the clone from Wukong finding so much space. Tian can't find his mark. That will be Flash and Zhonya's on cooldown for Hoya, though. Quite big on the Gragas.
I mean, Hoya's not central to this team composition. Like, he doesn't have to have everything available all the time. That cask can be enough just on its own, and particularly once you're at this point in time. That's a teleport behind them. Hoya, he doesn't have his cooldowns, but he's happy to use his ult.
Oh, gets Wayward knocked back towards the rest of the team. Do they have the damage to finish him? Oh, Wayward dodges it. He dodges everything. The hook slightly shy from Yao Yao. That felt like the moment for TT, but they just can't quite connect the kill. Only one ultimate used, though.
And Wayward has teleport, has flash, and ult. He dodged all of that while keeping his cooldowns available. They haven't spotted out all of these wards. They will know one of them is behind them just towards that river. Ucal looking for the big engage.
Certainly is. There's TT. This is Soul Point. Remember, this would be Soul for them. They need to just burn it down as fast as possible. Tian CC'd up. Soul taken. TT now looking for the fight. It's Ucal. No, denied by the Emperor, but flashes forward for the re-engage anyway. Tian the target. Is JackeyLove trying to survive. Yao Yao in the brush, buying space. 1xN jumps on forward. Can't quite find JackeyLove, who somehow survives. Does not have a GA. Does not have any survivability left. Just that flash. 1xN wants a little bit more. The Calibrum still there. One more Q remaining, but changes it out in the end.
No one dies except the Dragon, but that's what TT came there for. They managed to escape from the teleport flank. Wayward trying to kill a wave, gets stunned up, goes unstoppable.
In the exact same spot once again, Wayward will walk out with his life. TT, though, with Soul, and winning out that team fight, even if they don't get the kills. We'll move over to this Baron and Tian.
So
this is going to be hard to contest. There's no flashes.
There's no flashes, no Maokai ult, no Milio ults. There's some big fight cooldowns gone, but it feels like Top Esports, despite the fact that they're not getting killed in these fights and they're managing to stop 1xn getting everything that he wants. They're also not finding any victories for themselves. They haven't picked up a neutral objective from basically besides just some 50-50 spites. Feels like they're slowly just rolling into the abyss.
Yeah, that's the part that you have to remember. Those two Drakes, they were 50-50s. That wasn't Top Esports having control of the Dragon area. That was them just contesting. TT have been in the driver's seat this whole game long, and now 8,000 gold up at 40 minutes on the clock. Medjai's picked up by Ucal as well on 10 stacks with a stopwatch to boot. This is feeling like it might just be the game for TT to start the series off in style. It's a slow burner. It's certainly, this is like one of those TV shows where you've got to get like 5 episodes in before it really kicks off, but it is kicking off for TT.
Now, funnily enough, one of my favorite shows I watched recently was Andor, one of the Star Wars shows, which was a bit of a slow burner. It's also one of my favorite things I've watched in a very long time, and this game as well is promising at least one more cataclysmic team fight. And in fairness for Top Esports, they have the builds and the damage to potentially get themselves a turnaround fight. We are late enough into the game where one fight could be catastrophe for TT, despite their heroic plays earlier into the game. They're trying to sync up their waves. Hoya's in the mid lane, hasn't got his teleport for the next few seconds. TT paying respect to that and slowly shuffling these waves into the base.
Catastrophe is Top Esports' middle name. They live in the space between reality and catastrophe. But now the siege in the mid lane continues with these cannoned up barons. The baroned up cannons. Slowly but surely chipping away at the towers.
I'm not sure we really want to take cannon with extra armaments. I think that's a little unfair.
But the wave being pushed as slowly as possible for TT so that the mid wave can crash at the same time, but not quite going to work out for them. The wave instantly cleared with an Ari getting the true damage from the Order for Deception, plus that Zeri shredding the wave. They will be able to clear the bot side, they will be able to clear the wave in the mid lane, but the cannon almost getting that tower. Not quite, but I mean, it's a single auto away. They could just walk up and finish that one off.
Definitely try. Tian hanging over the wall, Maokai ult in position. What can they get with this?
Nearly got the tower, 1xn playing it cautious as Wayward steps on forward. A TP coming on through. The roots from Tian not quite going to do enough as the cleanse was forced, but it's not enough to force it. Wayward with a triple knockup! It's huge, but the cast from Hoya denies it! No follow-up from the rest of the team, and now the Ocean Soul will pay dividends. The regen can come on through for TT. They can keep this siege rolling. Wayward with heroics, but answered in kind by the opposing man. Hoya denies the play.
In any other game, that could have saved their skins, but it doesn't quite manage it. Back to the base for Top Esports. One last defense.
And look at the health bars. The Ocean Soul basically bringing everyone back to full rookie. A bit of damage out onto Hoya, but they can keep this going all day long. 2 inhibs taken. All they have to do is wait for super minions at this point. Top Esports hanging on, fighting tooth and nail. They will not give up just yet, but it feels so difficult, especially without those ultimates available.
I think they might just be able to wave clear TT. They don't want this to go to an Elder. They don't want it to be a flip around that objective if they can help it. But they're not going to have the choice. They're going to have to back off. Waves just not meeting up for them. Clearing up some waves.
Oh, the charm. Beichuan gets out with his life. JackeyLove is caught. Hoya with another incredible cast. Hoya saving the day for TT. And now 1xn can clean these health bars up. He's untouched in the fight. Infernum across the squad as Wayward tries to pull the fight back for his team. 1xn just walks towards them at Nexus. Wayward has to do something miraculous, but he's got no HP and he's taken down. TT have done it. The upset comes on through, and in game 1, TT live up to the thunder in their name.
Absolute scenes. It takes a while to get off the ground. A quiet early game erupts into team fighting mess, let's be honest. Most of the fights this game were fairly low kills. I think that goes to show the mechanical proficiency of both of these teams. When the engages come through, both these teams showed an awful